So after Vegas won the cup the other day, Ryan Whitney posted on Twitter that the Oilers are runner-up this year. And while that is a ridiculous tweet, it's something that I wanted to look at and be like, hey, that's really interesting. Because he's not the first person I heard it from. I saw a lot of people saying Oilers Golden Knights is the real Stanley Cup final. And again, that's kind of ridiculous because who's to say that the Oilers would have steamrolled the other teams after beating Vegas? I don't think it's a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination that they would have. But I do think they're right on the cusp. I think they're so close to being cup contender. They remind me of the 2021 Colorado Avalanche who lost to Vegas in the second round. Remember McKinnon came out and said, I haven't won anything in my career yet and it's year 9. He was all sad about it. And then the next year, what do? Cup champions. And if you look at the series, it was pretty close. I know there's a few blowouts in there, but they went both ways. Every time Vegas would clap Edmonton, Edmonton would clap right back. But the two biggest differences between these teams in this series was the goaltending and the defense. Stop me if you've heard that before, Oilers fans. I know that sounds so familiar since the dawn of time. But it's true. That's what their downfall was in this series, and that's what separated these two teams. And look, by no means were Brossoit and Hill perfect in the Edmonton series. There were points where they let in a ton of goals, but the difference is when Stuart Skinner and Jack Campbell couldn't shut it down and lock it down for their team in the big moment, Adin Hill could. Like, just look at Grant Fuhr back in the days, Oilers fans. It's not about making more saves than the other guy. It's about making the saves in the key moments to be able to win the game when the other guy can't. Like, that's what big money Jack Campbell and Rookie of the Year nominee Stuart Skinner couldn't do when traded for peanuts, Adin Hill could. And on defense, yes, I know that Vegas has Alex Pietrangelo and Darnell Nurse is supposed to be that number one defenseman type guy, but he's not. Let's just face the facts. He's paid like one, but he's not one. But what's more of the issue to me is that where Vegas has no holes on their defense, like if you look at guys like McNabb, Whitecloud, Nick Hague, like they play in the bottom pairings, but they still give you solid minutes. They're not liabilities, and you're not worried and shaking in your boots when they're out there. Whereas Oilers fans, what kind of shell shock do you feel if I say just the words Vincent Desharnais in the playoffs or Cody Ceci in the playoffs? And honestly, for this offseason, this is something that Ken Holland can absolutely address. I know there have been plenty of swings and misses in the past. I think this is something that if you do your research and you do your scouting properly, you don't just go chasing the big money, big star defenseman, but you actually do your research and say, hey, we don't need a Connor Hellebuck. We just need a guy like Adin Hill who's got that dog in him, who can give us the big ice in his veins performance when the other guy can't. Or, again, we don't need the Alex Pietrangelo. We just need to remove these holes in our defense that the other team can exploit. And yes, of course, it's easier said than done, obviously, or else everybody would be a Stanley Cup champion. But still, I envy this spot the Oilers are in. It's a great spot, Oilers fans. Much better than being rudderless and not even having a face of the franchise. You don't know where or who to market your team to because it's all just kind of mid-players. No, you have a great team here. You just got to finish the few last pieces of the puzzle, and bang, you're right there for the cup. And honestly, they're one of my cup favorites for 2024. I really think they're right there. They remind me so much of that 2021 Colorado team. And you just need those last couple of pieces. Like, what did it for Colorado? Obviously, Makar's going to be Makar, but Oiler fans were saying, well, we don't have a Makar. Okay, well, they didn't win the cup any other years they had him in the playoffs. And you look at McKinnon is going to be McKinnon. Same thing with Rantanen and Landeskog. Kadri really stepped up in that playoff run. The Oilers can definitely get that from somebody like Nugent Hopkins or maybe even Zach Hyman on the wing. That's not a problem. But they went out and they got Josh Manson on defense, which completely revitalized that whole thing, and it put everybody in a better spot there on D. Especially a guy like Devon Taves. It slotted him perfectly next to Makar. He was able to blossom into a star. The defense is just slotted perfectly everywhere. And bang, they're an absolute rock back there. All of them. And finally, replacing Grubauer with Kemper. Look, Grubauer's a great goalie, but Kemper was just the right man for the job at that time. Again, you don't need Marty Brodeur back there. You just need the right man for the job. You gotta take some time to find it. That's it for me on this one, guys. I just wanted to talk about it because I think the Oilers are right there. I really do. They're so close. Let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.